And welcome back, folks. This is Thomas Goes Nostalgic, and on this episode, we're going to be continuing our Channel 6 news building diorama. Once again, folks, welcome back. If you've been following me along this journey, we've been building the interior of this Channel 6 news building one level at a time. And today, we are working on the final floor of this Channel 6 news building. And just real quick, if you haven't checked out the previous episodes where we built the whole entire structure and then worked on the previous 3 floors, go back and check those videos out. I'll put the links down in the description below. So we constructed the building, we've done the lobby, we've done some office space, and April's dressing room. So what haven't I done for this diorama that we still need to do? And of course, I would not complete this diorama without doing a Channel 6 newsroom. So saving the best for last, I think it's the most iconic. I'm really hoping this is actually one of the easier projects. It'll still take some time and will take a lot of effort, but I think as far as reference goes, I'm just going to use the action figure slipcase that came with the Catwoman from Channel 6 4-pack. It has all the details I need, and I don't have to worry about going back and watching a bunch of episodes or searching the internet. All my reference is right there. And folks, if you haven't subscribed yet, I'd really appreciate it if you do. It would help me out a lot, and I appreciate it if you follow me along this journey. So folks, we're almost at the finish line. We're going to complete the interior of the diorama for this episode, and then on our final episode, we will paint the exterior of the building and finally finish this project. So if you're ready to start working on the newsroom, let's get to it. All right, folks, here it is. This is the setup for our 4th and final floor of the Channel 6 news building, the newsroom. So of course I was going to do this. I already have some of the accessories and figures in place just to get a feel for the space that we're working with. And I've already gone ahead and primed the sidewalls as well as the back wall. I haven't primed the ceiling or the floor yet because I still need to carve the wood grain into the floor and the square tile into the ceiling. And if you see that chair that April is sitting on, that's just an office chair from a dollhouse that I bought offline. So I didn't feel like making that pretty much for the whole diorama. I didn't really want to waste time making chairs, but this was just a great office chair that looked like it would fit. So I thought that would be perfect for her. As we're starting to think of some of the details that we want to include in this diorama, I definitely pulled inspiration from other creators, other YouTubers. One YouTuber in particular named VaneCreative, I believe her full name is Vanessa. She put a map of the United States on the left side. I do like that detail, so I think I'm going to incorporate that. And if you haven't seen that episode of her channel, it's amazing. She actually built the Channel 6 newsroom inside of a television that looks like the Turtles television. So it has the books underneath. She incorporated all of the accessories really well. So it was really awesome and a great learning experience for me while kind of doing my own research to do this project. And then I've definitely pulled some inspiration from friends. So one of my friends that built the Channel 6 News building already, he definitely included a lot of the side compartments, the shelves that are in the back left corner. So I'll try to squeeze in as much of that as I could. I don't know if I'll have room for all of those compartments. And then of course the quintessential details, the world map behind the Channel 6 news desk and the monitors and also the window on the right side. Okay, so we know what details we're going to be working on. We know what accessories we have to add. So I think it's time to start getting ready, pulling this thing apart and getting this project finished. Once we're done with this, then we have completed the whole interior of this building. So I'm super excited. Let's go ahead and get it going. So I've referenced the Catwoman from Channel 6 4-pack backdrop. This is going to be my roadmap for this diorama. So that shelving unit on the left, all the details you see behind the desk, this is pretty much what I'm going to be looking at when making this project. So like I said, makes it a whole lot easier for me so I don't have to keep jumping back and forth to the internet or to different episodes. I can just look at this backdrop, get all the details I need, and still have it look authentic. So let's get going. So first we're going to start working on the line work for our floorboards. So I'm just going to make the lines 1 inch apart so all the floorboards will be at least 1 inch from each other, and then I'll make the horizontal lines in somewhat of a uniform fashion. I'm not going to put the wood grain and the lines into the foam like I did with the previous floors. I want this panel to be nice and smooth and clean, and we'll put in some of the details with different variations in paint. Now working on the ceiling tile, I'm trying to make all of the tiles as even as possible. So this whole board is going to get measured and then line it up so that there's a bunch of even squares at the top. I'm not lighting anything during this process, but I did order some puck lights that I will eventually magnetize to all of the ceilings. But in the meantime, I figured just get it painted and we'll get it up there. And then when those lights come in and when I do the final reveal, I'll try to get it all set up with the lights. So looking to see how April fits in, looks pretty well. And now I'm going back to my new favorite material, these silly wings. So a good friend let me know that there's a thicker version of this. So this 5mm silly wings is going to be perfect for those rising steps or that purple carpet that is underneath the desk. So I'm just going to measure this in place and then we'll get it cut and see how that looks before we start building the actual desk. So basically the way that we're measuring these carpet panels or these floor panels is you're making two L-shaped pieces. So the bottom floor is going to be a little longer on either side, and then the step above is going to be shorter because you want it to look like actual steps elevating as you layer them on top. So we'll go ahead and get these cut and then we'll get them painted as well. So I've definitely used these silly wings a lot throughout this project. This might be my new favorite material. It cuts super easy and it holds paint really well. I'm happy with the way the dimensions of these step-ups came. So all I have to do is paint them purple and then that's pretty much done for that. And we're gonna go ahead and start priming everything, and then this way we can really start working on some of the extra details. So I'll go ahead and give this a quick prime, let it dry, and then we can continue. And as mentioned before, this material is super easy to paint. It holds the paint really well. I don't think I'll have to add any extra coats, but if you're just looking for something to act as a carpet or maybe use it as some side paneling and you want to wrap it around like you couldn't do with the XPS foam, then this is definitely a great material to try out and use on any of those projects. And we're going to start working on painting the floorboards. I've already done the ceiling panel off camera, giving it a blend of light and dark gray. I love the heavy brush strokes. If you're looking at the background in the cartoon, you see a lot of that, which is great if you're a sloppy painter like I am. So I'm going to give these floorboards a coat of dark brown, and then I'm going to go panel by panel with a variation of light tan just to give it that wood effect. And we'll do this in random areas just to make it not so uniform. But I really do love the way this comes out. When it dries, it really does look like wood, and I'm really happy with the outcome. So the color scheme for this diorama is much easier than the other floors that we've worked on. It's all one color. There will be a border of black at the top, but that'll be super easy to do. So this is all getting a nice kind of periwinkle purple or pink that we're putting on there. So I'll give this a few coats and then the side and back walls will be complete. And I'm really glad to just be getting this part of the diorama over with. I've definitely gotten some fatigue making all these sixes. I've traced it from a piece of paper onto the silly wings and cutting it out with my X-Acto knife. So far on this project, we've already made 4 different number 6s. And for this floor alone, we have to do 3. 2 for the desk panels and then 1 to go above the desk. So really happy to be done with these. And I think doing this out of regular foam would have been a huge pain. So just using the silly wings for this is another great reason to use it. But I bet if I have some friends that are really great at 3D printing, this would look awesome on a 3D printer. And going back to that 5mm foam, I'm going to use that for the desk. Figure it's lightweight, it holds the glue pretty well, it holds the paint, so this will be a great option. And I don't have to waste any material or waste any time cutting the pink foam onto my Proxxon for some flat slices. So just gluing it all together, like I said, it holds pretty well, so this thing is not going to break. We'll get it painted and then we can go ahead and set it up. So every desk needs to be lacquered, only I'm going to use Mod Podge just to give it a shine. And another part of the project that I'm glad to be wrapping up is molding. So each floor that I've worked on had a different variation of molding, so it's been very tedious cutting out all these pieces. So once we're done with this, then I'm officially done with all the molding. The space above the molding to the ceiling will need to be painted black, and that'll be easy after the glue dries. And then I'll just apply this last 6, which will go above the desk. And I cut and painted the molding for the desk as well. It only goes on the front side and the left side panel. It doesn't go on the right panel. So just gonna get that glued, cut, and then pretty much this desk is done. I printed out this picture of the world map and I've already made the frame for it to go behind April. And then I've done that window just like I've done the other windows in the previous floors. So I kind of made it a little slip so I can slip the window picture in. And now I'm going to work on the monitors. So I like these pictures. I want to get some villain pictures into the monitors. And then over here is where we're going to put the map of the United States. So I'll cut that out with my X-Acto knife and then use my Proxxon to cut out the shape. And now while I'm waiting for this prime to dry, I cut out the stills of the villains. I need to make the monitor frames for there. And I worked on this little bookshelf or film shelf, whatever it is, and that'll go in the back left corner. So friend of the channel, Nostalgia Unboxed, Jonathan, he mentioned that I should probably make some outlets so that the accessories can plug into. And he's right. I think it looks weird if you have the cameras and the spotlights just kind of hanging there. So I'm using the end of my X-Acto knife to make circular impressions, and then I'll use the prongs from the plug and I'll just push them in, and then this way I know where to cut little holes out with the point of my X-Acto knife. So I'll make little slits into that circular area and then just give it a test go with the plug, making sure that it fits into the prong, and it does. So once we get this painted and onto the diorama, we'll just position it, because once I glue it down, that's pretty much where the camera and the spotlights will have to go. But this is a cool detail, so I'm glad I am including it. So I've given these a prime of black, and once they're dry, I'll give the base of them a gray coat and the circular areas a nice coat of gold. So I really like the way that these came out. You can see the holes where the plug will go right into. So really cool detail. So we'll just mess around with positioning. I'm sure if I wanted to make more of these, this didn't take very long, so I don't have to be married to wherever they are, but I will glue these two down, and then if I ever decide I want the cameras or lights to be in a different position, then I can go ahead and make a couple more of these. But for now, I'm going to put these two at the front. We'll just get these glued and make sure that the camera and lights fit into the plugs. And after gluing these down and making sure everything fits, I think it's time to set this diorama up. And folks, that's a wrap. We are complete with our interior of the building, the fourth and final floor, the Channel 6 newsroom. I had such a great time making this, finally getting to use these accessories and get all the characters on. And I love to tell a story with the piece we've just done. So you have Irma testing her skills as the weather girl, Burns yelling at April for probably saying the wrong thing on broadcast, and Vernon, of course, filming. I really do feel like we might need some just generic cameramen or generic Channel 6 News employees to fill this out a little more, but this is fantastic. I really love the way it came out, and I'm really excited to be done with the interior of this building. Now, I started this project back in mid-April, so over 2.5 months of building this, finally see it to come into fruition, and we've worked on all of these floors, finally all building up to the Channel 6 newsroom. But we still have one last final thing to do, and that is paint the exterior before we can call this entire project complete. So I hope you stick around. And folks, that does it for this episode. If you like this content, hit like, hit subscribe, and ring that bell so you get notifications of when I post my next episode. Until then, we'll catch you next time.